Are aliens actually real? Are birds just robots? Is the government really on our side?
No, they're not.
Grab your leftovers and use that tinfoil for something other than wrapping food and making a TV antenna as we chew on our favorite theories. Let's go.
Today we have got a great episode where we are talking about the conspiracy theories. Gosh, it's hard to even imagine all the conspiracy theories that are really out there, but we have been alluding to this for a couple of episodes now, actually, about wanting to do a theory episode in of itself.
Yeah.
And we finally got to the point where we're just like, you know what, we're going to do it. And so, yeah, we're just going to jump right into this because we have a lot to cover.
Yep, we're going to cover every single conspiracy of all time ever in
of
one
all
episode
time.
of all
Yes,
time
in
ever
one episode.
in one episode. Yeah.
Yep. It'll be, we got to spend at least like 2 minutes per.
You get 4 seconds per theory. We got a lot of ground to cover.
Yes.
Yeah. Where do we want to start then?
I don't know,
Well,
John.
okay, well, now you got me thinking. So, side note here. Last night I just watched a movie that I've seen it before, and I really like it. It's called Boyhood. If you haven't seen it, it is a movie that took like 12 to 13 years to actually make the movie.
Okay.
What they did is they followed a kid from what was it? I think from like the year of 8 till he was about 20. And it basically it took 45 days in the span of 12 years to make this movie. It's all the same kid. Each year that he progresses in his life is roughly about 14 minutes of screen time in the movie, and it's actually really, really good to watch. So it's out there. I don't really want to tell you where or anything like that because we're not sponsored by anybody or whatever. But
right, and that's why we've talked about pirating on the podcast before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go pirate this movie.
No, anyone who pays for movies is a sucker. That's my take. I'm not gonna apologize for it.
Yeah. See, it's actually okay. So it's on Tubi, which is free. I don't think we'd get in trouble for really saying that one, but it's free out there. You just gotta you gotta better the ads, which I think that's kind of a conspiracy theory in of itself because sometimes the ads are just not worth it. But then paying for no ads isn't worth it either.
Paying for the ads would be brutal.
Yes, paying for the ads would be bad.
Well,
you pay for Netflix and they double your ads, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, I think both Hulu and Netflix have paid tiers that still have ads. They're the lowest paid tiers.
They do. Yeah, Netflix released a thing here recently where it's like $6 a month.
Yeah, but there's nothing good on Netflix.
They
have
the issue with Netflix now is they're making all of their own content and it's all just rehashed.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Bird Box came out. I liked the original Bird Box. I thought it was great.
Is that what you get at the fried chicken place when you?
No, that's
in the drive-thru.
That's a box of bird.
Yes.
Not a bird box.
Yes. So here recently, they just released a Bird Box Barcelona.
Okay.
Where, it's like the European version of it, and it's almost the exact same story, just in Spain. And then they're talking about doing a Bird Box Zero where it takes you back to.
Is that the sugar-free version?
Yes, it is the sugar-free version of Bird Box.
You can do so much with that joke setup you did where it's like it's the same thing but in Spain. It's like it's Schindler's List but in Spain. Or like Star Wars but it's just in Spain.
Just Spanish.
It's just a Spanish guy who's mad at his dad. There are so many stories if you just limit them to only being in Spain.
Yeah.
Or to any small country. It ruins the story.
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
like what is it? 12 Years a Slave, but it's just in Italy.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Yeah, but
You guys haven't seen that?
No.
Okay, Roots, but it's in Italy.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Roots? Watch Roots.
Well, it would be even worse to be like it's Roots, but in Madagascar, because it's part of Africa.
Well, Roots was in Madagascar. They just didn't show those scenes. So
that was pre-Roots.
So how does this relate to conspiracies?
Well, okay, so it relates to conspiracies because
We're going to tell the audience that we're going to do a show on conspiracy theories, and then the conspiracy is we're going to waste their time by going
talking
the whole thing
going
is off
everything
track.
else.
We're gonna talk about Spain, slavery, and Star Wars. So
Yes.
strap in. No, but okay. So yeah, how does it relate back?
Okay, it relates back to our topic because there are things that are out there. Okay, during the movie of Boyhood, again, it talks about the boy and it follows his life and things like that. And there are certain parts of the movie that kind of go unnoticed in a way because of the cinematography or because of the storyline and stuff like that. And it almost, as you watch the beginning of the movie, you can see foreshadowing of later on in the story. Basically, like, he has his parents are divorced. The dad is just trying to make it, as good as he can for them. But you get later on in the movie and you see, how his dad really is, personally outside of away from his kids. And there's foreshadowing parts in that movie that kind of depict it if you really pick it up, but a lot of times you don't. And so where it kind of comes back into it is a lot of conspiracy theories that we see are almost foreshadowed, but a lot of people just don't notice it until it's too late.
Those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it.
Yes. And unfortunately, we are in the repeating part of a lot of history because of the way that people are. The sad part about it is we are repeating history in the opposite direction. So what I mean by that, because I saw the look on your face.
Sorry, my brain. It just. I have an idea of what you might be getting at. It just gave the way it was phrased gave my brain whiplash.
Well, yeah.
And
so let me clarify here. And this is part of a conspiracy theory that I think is out there. That the liberals are just insane. Well, I mean that's really
obvious.
A conspiracy theory. Yeah, that's kind of obvious. But they're insane, and they use their insanity in the sake of cultural diversity. So what I mean by that is, okay, back in the early 1900s up till, mid 60s, later part of the 1960s, segregation was horrible. I mean, you had like white only areas, you had black only areas, you had all of this stuff where it was separated by race. The black people, African American people, whatever you want to call them, fought for their rights. They fought for their liberties. They, a lot of the white people stood with them. They won their own liberties. They won their own their rights to do things that at times they weren't allowed to do. And now we're moving 2023, where it's almost 50 to 60 years later. And now you've got liberals that are being like, oh, it's black only because this is what you deserve. It's white only because we don't deserve this. And they're literally taking everything that they just fought for and they're separating it again for the sake of, liberty.
Yeah. Well, so the thing with the liberal concept of things is liberalism isn't intended to build things. It's made to remove things or to destroy things.
And they do a great job of that.
And so the weird thing with American politics is you have liberals and you have conservatives, right? So conservatives are trying to preserve things and liberals are trying to remove or change or shift things. Well, what you have then is you have like you have one group of people who are trying to like keep this house on top of a hill while other people are like hacking at the dirt that it's like built on. And so no matter what happens, you eventually just have this slope downward into a degrading society. You don't really have like a traditionalist movement that is actively not just maintaining traditions, but like creating things within those traditions. And so so liberalism is just set like to destroy. So why do liberals like diversity so much? Well, one, it's virtue signaling. So you can say, oh, we're protecting or like caring for these people who are marginalized. But what it really is they hate certain foundational values in traditional society. And so they are just going to bring in multiple different cultural perspectives to mix things up. Now, I don't have anything against people from different cultures, but the idea that that liberals are, most liberals actually have a genuine care for these people, I just call bull. I think most of them just want to, add more voices to the discussion to kind of muddy things. And I also think liberals, they do this thing where they speak for people groups. So it's like, oh well, during the George Floyd thing, white girls made it about themselves, right? And my opinions on George Floyd don't really matter, but that kind of like adopting these pet causes. The whole
isn't that a Bill Burr? Is it Bill Burr or
a lot of
the one
comedians
dude
make
with the
those
red
jokes.
hair and like was he on the Mandalorian?
Louis
Or,
C.K.
Yeah, Bill Burr. No, this is Bill Burr.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
Anyway.
know the different. I don't know.
Yeah.
White liberal women just kind of hijack all these causes.
Well, yeah. They call like homeless people unhoused. It's like, who's that helping? You're not really helping anyone.
Right.
But
My favorite one is people aren't illegal. People can be criminals, can't they? Like, you're missing the point when you say those words. Like, it's not about the terminology. It's about they are committing a crime, which we'll get into that whole debate another time. But.
So I have a question about John's particular conspiracy. So what exactly is your conspiracy about liberalism and how it relates to the concept of diversity?
Well, it's again, you go back to where they were segregated, and then they were joined as people. They were. I hate saying it like this because I don't want it to come across as wrong, but they are people, and they are notified as people now. And then, yes, I know that.
I love that you said notified, like someone told them, "Hey, man, you're a person."
Well,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That's exactly what it seems like. Is liberals tend to be like, "Oh, you're one of us now. You're fine."
Yeah.
And
Just
then
don't
it gets.
Don't ask liberal white women what they think of actual African people from Africa.
Oh gosh,
they hate them because actual African people from Africa don't like gay people.
Well, yeah.
They don't like gay people.
Exactly. And so what has tended to happen now is the liberals have taken everything that these people that the African Americans have fought for the past 50 to 60 years and have literally taken it away from them in the name of racial equality. I'm sorry, Aunt Jemima, her family was making a fortune off of that product. And these people come in and be like, oh, well, that's a racial stereotype, so we're going to take it away because we don't want it to be racial. They literally took the particular lady that started that company, basically took her company away from them and was like, well, you don't matter anymore. But don't worry, because we're doing it for racial equality.
Well, leftism is the ideology that originally enslaved these people. Okay. So we shouldn't be shocked now that it's being used against them. And it was Malcolm X. Malcolm X has this talk where he says the liberal is not the friend of the black community, that they're kind of like a fox, that they're tricky, right? And it's, how do I put it? So like you gave the example of Aunt Jemima. they do the same thing with like the Land
O'Lakes
lady. Yeah. They're like, oh, white people need to give land back to the Indians, and then they take the Indian from the land.
Right.
On the Land O'Lakes thing, they remove the Indian. It's like, wait a minute. So, what is the actual goal here? Like you're taking imagery away from these people, but are you actually solving the issues in those communities? Because what's the biggest issue facing the black community right now? Well, single motherhood, the welfare state, and police interactions. What does the left do to fix that? Nothing. White people just go to black communities and tear down their buildings.
Yeah.
Good job. Who does that help?
Yeah.
And so the left is this monster that essentially like eats its own people.
Well, and where they do take action for it, like you said, police interaction, is, well, they take away the police force. They defund the police. And so now you've got what essentially has become a post-modern West civilization, where certain cities are like, okay, you've either got to shoot first or you're going to get shot, unfortunately. And there are certain areas where police just will not go into because it's so bad. And, when you have areas like, what was it? There's a city in Wisconsin, I think it was, just here this past weekend. The entire police department,
they all
just quit.
Yep.
Not a single one of them left. They just quit because they were tired of the city, going against them and being like, we're going to take away your budget. We have to drop your budget. We have to lower. We can't give you, the money to protect yourself. So they just like, all right, well, there's no point of us being there. And, the liberals are like, oh, yeah, we won. Within the past few days, there have been more shootings in that city than there were the past year and a half with the police force there. And
like you just said, the liberals actually did win.
Yeah.
On that one.
Yeah.
Because their end goal isn't actually to help people. It's just to disrupt.
It's to destroy society and increase dependence on the government.
Well, right. And so here's the question. Like, okay, so I'll keep this very brief, but there are three things that Western societies built upon. And philosophers, theologians, everyone agrees truth, goodness, and beauty are these three like transcendental things that are needed for a proper society. You need, truth, goodness, and beauty. So what do liberals create that conservatives don't that is more beautiful? Nothing. For example, look at postmodern art. Postmodernism in general, that's a liberal concept. Okay? Well, what do people say is the height of art? The Renaissance. Like the Renaissance. Well, why was the Renaissance the height of art? Because the Renaissance was people looking back to classical culture and higher cultures and readapting them, rather than looking at something beautiful and saying like, oh, let's destroy it. And like, it's like, so the foundations of like how we perceive, how we create things from a liberal perspective, it's entirely different. So they, like liberals don't, or leftists rather, they don't create, they only disrupt.
Yeah.
So what have they made that's of substance in the last 100 years?
Besides chaos.
Well, right. And so what? And then their solution to that, because they don't have beauty and truth and goodness, they only believe in power, right? So they do the will to power thing, and they just make the government stronger. That's why it's like you burn the house down, and then what? You just have somebody else fix all your problems? Like, they can't. All they have is power. They're not good. The government isn't run by good people. They're not going to build anything beautiful, because they don't care about beauty.
Right.
They care about money.
Right. And I do want to take it. This isn't just a full on, attack on the left, because I know Dave has a theory about something like this, but the right is just as bad. When in certain areas of instead of being like, okay, we're going to take things away from you in the sake of racial diversity, a lot of the right wing is kind of like, it doesn't exist. You don't
yeah,
think
they
about
just
it doesn't
shoulder
exist.
shrug, yeah.
And and not just in the racial part of it, but just in society itself, it seems like the right is, just as hypocritical, because they tend to say, well, as part of the government, you need to adhere to our rules, but don't let the government tell you what to do. They're literally...
Yeah, that's why I'm not a libertarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, let the government tell you what to do. Just have a good government.
Well, and you got to be able to have a good government for that.
Make it illegal for politicians to be stupid.
Human nature is corruption. No matter what you do, you will end up with corruption.
Right.
So you have to have checks and balances against the corruption.
Yeah, you make it illegal.
Yes.
That was a joke.
So this isn't going to be the first time I harken back to Orwell, but a couple of the things you guys have said have reminded me of Animal Farm.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly the passage. I can't remember the details. It's been years, maybe even decades since I've read it. But they wrote their little charter or their Bill of Rights or whatever, and one of the lines was all animals are equal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But over time, the corrupt leaders eventually changed it to all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others, and that's really what it is. It's a power struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. No matter what topic we bring up, no matter what conspiracy theory we can come up with, or whether we think it's plausible or not, it's all about power. It's not. It's Palpatine. Power. To bring it back to Star Wars, because everything is Star Wars.
Yes.
Well, so and I think you're not saying that just because someone's more powerful means they're right, but it means they're going to get their way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so John, your conspiracy theory is that the ideals primarily of leftism, but also somewhat on conservative end, but primarily leftist ideals, they end up becoming the thing they say they want to destroy.
Yes.
Okay. And I would agree with that. And I think that's fair.
Yeah. And and you can take that into the right side. And right now the right wing, the big movement is gun control. They believe that there should not be gun control. People should have guns. People should have access to guns. I agree to a point, but it's kind of like their answer to stopping illegal sale of firearms or illegal use of our firearms is to just give everybody a gun. Without the proper training, you're literally just throwing more fuel on the fire. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, back in 2012, there was a shooting of a teenager in Florida. Now there is a lot of theories behind what exactly was going on, that led to the shooting. But essentially, the man who did the shooting, George Zimmerman, had absolutely no proper training of a firearm whatsoever, and where he was legally allowed to own a firearm, he did not have a concealed carry to carry that firearm. And that led to the shooting of this young man, Trayvon Martin, that, sparked a huge uproar. I mean, it was one of the first, big ones that you see, the George Floyd, you see, what's the name? Brown. I forgot what his first name is. But it is all of these people that are shot and killed by police officers. It all kind of sparked, erupted more or less because of this one. Now, I'm not saying that this started, the whole, bad cop theory type thing, because they've always been around. But it just kind of it almost fell by the wayside up until this point. And so my thing that I was trying to get back to, I guess, is the right tends to think of, the best way for us to get rid of, illegal shootings and stuff is to give all citizens firearms. But again, you have to go through the proper training.
Yeah, that seems to glance over the fact that a gun is a deadly weapon and you have to respect it.
Right.
That's why even when you're giving a kid a toy gun like a Nerf gun, you start teaching him gun safety right then. You don't look down the barrel. You don't point it at anything you don't intend to shoot. Even if it's a Nerf gun.
So when it comes to right-wing ideologies. You have a libertarian wing and an authoritarian wing, and then you have centrist, which is essentially where the Republican Party falls, where you have some who are a little more libertarian and some who are a little more authoritarian, but generally it's like center right, but leans libertarian is how I describe the Republican Party.
Yeah.
So on a full libertarian perspective, or right-wing libertarian, because there are left-wing libertarians, but on a right-wing libertarian scale, the Constitution is your permit, is essentially how they view it. And then you have kind of the moderate Republican scale, which no, you should like take a class and like, you know, make sure you know the basic rules of firearm safety, and then you get a gun. And then on the more authoritarian right side, citizens that believe good things and have good character should have guns. Citizens who believe dangerous ideas the government doesn't like, or people who have bad moral character, as it's deemed by the state, should not have guns.
Yeah, and who's to judge what a bad moral character is?
Right, and so a leftist authoritarian state does the same thing. The only difference is the moral code, right? So, like, for example, the current, like, liberal push for gun control. Yeah, they want it across the board because they're in power with government. But if they were not in the current power, they'd be screaming, freedom, freedom. So everyone cries for freedom when they're losing.
Yeah, I was thinking about this just last night. Like, it's easy to root for your party when you perceive your party to be in control. Or basically, you're going to root for the same thing as the other side when they're in control.
Yeah.
Regardless, because hate to say it, all of us are hypocrites. I think as soon as we can admit that, we can start moving forward and progressing as a society. Everybody is a hypocrite. Everybody has been selfish at some point. Everybody thinks that they have the right idea and everybody else is stupid.
I don't think as a society, I think as a society, most of us have come to the conclusion that we are hypocrites.
Sure.
The problem is you're a bigger hypocrite than I am. At least I'm not this person. At least I'm not, you know, at least it's not Trump. At least it's not Biden. You know, that seems to be just the thing. You know, it's like you've got two presidents that will do the exact same thing step by step. But one side is, well, at least it's not this person doing it. What does that matter?
And when it's your guy in office, you're for it. And when it's someone else's guy doing the exact same thing, you're against it.
Yeah.
I hate Republicans because they're too liberal. Just like those liberal founding fathers who are also too liberal.
I don't like, as bad as it is to say, I don't like people in general because
but you have to love them. You're a Christian.
Well, yes, there's a difference between loving someone and liking someone.
I'll pray for you, but I'll also not hold the door open for you.
Listen to our podcast. Our Jonathan doesn't like you, so listen to us.
Yeah, Hello, listener. You suck.
No, it's just, you know.
And you're a hypocrite.
And we're not hypocrites.
No, not as much as you
not
are.
as much.
Yeah.
You're more.
You're a bigger hypocrite.
No, but when you said that, when you were like, oh, well, we always think the other side is more hypocritical, I was like, no, I'm more hypocritical, but I'm going to win. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. You know, it seems like, and the reason why I say I don't like people in general is because of that. Because, you know, everybody, there's no working together. Yeah. You know, you hear the old Beatles song, you know, come together, and, you know, or, you know, it's like everybody, you know, why can't we all just get along and all this other kind of stuff. And it seems very,
why can't we be friends?
Why can't we be friends? It seems very cheesy and very corny when people say it, but when you really think about it in a sense, it's like, why can't we?
Because the goals are different. Because the principles are different. So what everyone used to say about politics is we all want the same thing. We just have different ways of getting there. And now that's no longer the case.
No.
Because what I want to do, what I want to happen, is I want to see, just generally, I want to see Western ideas preserved and for people to exemplify Western virtue in their day-to-day lives. Well, that's what I want. What the left wants is to destroy beautiful things and be gross. and here's the thing. I know that's kind of a caricature, but I haven't had. No one's given me evidence that that's not their goal.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this isn't a full-on bash of anybody on the left side. It's really not.
For you.
It's really not, or not intended to be. It's just and Dave and I had talked about this recently as well. And it's kind of like where this one of these conspiracy theories kind of comes into play is you only see what the other side is doing. You never see what your side is doing. And here's where I kind of have a conspiracy theory on this one. And, it's like, we know that technology listens to us. Mm-hmm. We know that, like TikTok, Facebook, we'll sit here and talk about the drink, unnamed drink that is on my table that we're not going to mention.
By the way, follow us on Facebook and TikTok.
To find out what the drink is.
Yes, to find out what the drink is. No, but I'll talk about this, how much I like this particular drink. Mm-hmm. And later tonight, it'll be all over my Facebook page. It'll be all over my TikTok page. It's like see people drinking the exact same thing and see, ads for it and stuff like that. We talk about our political views as far as, how we are, whether you're, a leftist or whether you're,
cool
Republican, whether you're independent, whether you're authoritarian, whatever. And you won't see the thing that's different with the governmental side of it is you won't see your side being represented. All you'll see is what all the other sides are doing wrong. And because, like we talked about, and like I said, again, me and Dave talked about this here, a while back. I am a Republican. I'm more on the independent side. Because sure. I don't want to just vote for a Republican just because they're a Republican. I'm going to vote for who I believe is the best representative for our country.
That person will never get elected.
Ramaswamy.
Yeah. Well, and no, they won't get elected. That's the thing.
No, he's going to lose.
The thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the thing that's irked me since before I was voting age is that my own party never seems to nominate anyone that I actually want to see in office.
Right.
Yeah, man, I got slapped hard during Trump's first election. I was wanting Ben Carson to win. I had no chance. And everyone was like, oh, Ted Cruz. And turns out now, like, Ted Cruz, I can't stand Ted Cruz now.
I have a different opinion on Cruz than, But back to what I was saying, though, is like, it's like, okay, I consider myself a Republican. I voted for Trump. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I voted for Trump both times, because he was
our guy.
Yeah, he was our guy.
I just thought he was pretty.
The first time I was a little leery about him because I was just like, well, I will say that I did vote for him because it was better than Hillary. The second time I voted for him based on what he had done for the country.
Yeah.
But as I'm saying stuff like this, it's like I'll go on social media and I'll flip through, TikTok, and I start seeing all these, hate ads against Hillary and all these hate ads against the liberals and, how, all the things that they did during, the election and stuff like that. And not once did I actually get a Republican, video of showing what they've done properly or what they haven't done properly. Like it's almost like it didn't exist. It was all hate on to the other side.
That's because both Facebook and TikTok are essentially putting you in an echo chamber because that's what's going to get views.
Well, and whenever I see those pop up, I always tell them not to show me more. Mm-hmm. And after doing that for a couple of weeks, every time I saw anything political hating on the opposition, I would just be like, stop showing me this.
Right.
If my pages kept showing me political stuff, I'd just unfollow them. Mm-hmm. And instead, my feed was replaced with like pretty stuff. Like, and, like art.
And I mean, and there are ways to go around it, but the whole point of it is, it's all about hate. And it's not just for an echo chamber, it's to drive diversity. They don't want you to see that it's like, okay, there are some good people, maybe few and far between, on the left. There are some good people, few and far between, on the right. And
there's also a lot of bad people on your own side.
Right. And, instead of showing that, they just want you to see what's wrong on the opposite side to draw that division. Because, like we said, what do liberals want? Even what do a lot of Republicans want? They want division. They don't want unity of the people because they're afraid of us coming together as one people.
Yes, the proletariat will rise up. It will destroy the bourgeois leaders. Wait a minute. Sounds like Marxism.
I was actually thinking of only your hatred can destroy me. It's fueled by hatred. It really is. But if I can go back to what I was talking about, I remember
while I'm drinking my
unnamed drink. Yes.
Say it.
I remember. I think it was before
I was limited edition Coke. It's limited edition Coke.
It's not.
That's what it is.
It's not Sprite. That's all I know.
It's not Sprite.
Sorry, Dave. You were going.
I think it was before I was voting age. Mitt Romney was the Republican candidate at the time. Mm-hmm. So I watched one of the debates, and I could tell that he wasn't being genuine and that he was pandering to the audience. And I yelled at the TV, "You're pandering." And my dad actually criticized me, like, "Why are you being so cynical?" And that moment stuck with me because it really shows like how partisan politics works and how like you can you have people rooting for your party when they're rooting for an idiot or someone who's
they're rooting. They're rooting for the party because it's the party.
And it was from that moment on that I realized that I fully believe that whatever side you happen to belong to, you should be more scrutinizing of your own people than of the opposition. That's the only way we can actually progress.
Mm-hmm. Again, the issue with it is you've got all of these people that are like, well, if you are going against your own side, then
how dare you scrutinize our guy?
Right.
Because our guy's an idiot. I want someone else to be our guy.
I got a plan. Okay, so hear me out. Hear me out. This is the plan, right? So you're right. We scrutinize our own people. We make sure our people are doing better, becoming better people, and helping our community to become better people. Mm-hmm. And we just continue to do that. And then in 40 years, like all the liberals will be dead because they don't have kids.
That's very true. That is very true. The liberal side will probably end up dying out at some point.
Yeah. So yeah, like you want to defeat the liberals, just go make a kid and then just like teach them your values well, and it's game over in 40 years for them. And there's no battle. Like I'm very optimistic for the future because
and I think that's why they are going for the kids.
Yeah, good luck.
Is because they know that they basically set themselves up to fail. With the
groups that emphasize not having children tend to die,
right?
Like very quickly.
And so the only way that they can progress is by taking other people's children.
So
Jedis.
There's a group. Yes, there's a group of in the early church. There's a heretical sect called the Montanists, right? And they didn't believe in having children or having sex, and they loved martyrdom. You could see why they didn't last that long. Okay, right? So the left has like one half of the formula to extinction. They just need the other half.
Right.
But yeah. So okay. So have we exhausted that theory?
I think we have.
Okay.
Because
Because I wanted to bring up a little lighthearted one.
Okay.
All right.
If that's okay, without interrupting anything you guys had to say.
I mean, you can bring up any lighthearted one that you want. I can guarantee you it will be shut down by the next one.
That's
or
why
we'll
I know
turn it dark.
I saw your list. I know it's about to get more dark, so I wanted to bring up a lighthearted one.
Go ahead.
But we might find a way to make it dark. Okay, you guys ever seen the footage of like the nuke tests?
Yes.
How did camera not blow up?
Yes, I've seen that one.
How did the camera not blow up? Like,
yep.
Did they keep it in a nuke-proof box? What's that made out of?
Yeah. It brings up a lot of questions.
Because it's close. The camera's close. And this is like 1940s footage. Cameras weren't good at all.
No. They were grainy at best at feet away.
Yeah, so they're not going to be like far enough to not be affected severely by the blast. And then zoom, dude, do you know how bad did they even have like any good zoom capacity? No. Zoom wasn't even good in the 70s and 80s. Okay? So no, they didn't have like super like how? Okay? How? Okay, here's how. It's fake. Here's how. It's fake. The nuke footage is fake.
What about the moon landing?
Oh no.
No. So I believe we landed on the moon. I just believe the moon is flat.
Oh gosh.
There is a new one.
No. So I actually believe in like one-upping conspiracies. So when people are like, "Oh, we didn't land on the moon," I'm like, "Bro, you really believe the moon exists? Are you serious? You're one of those people?" Or it's like yeah, so this guy killed JFK. It's like, you really think he died? Are you serious? Like,
JFK's not dead.
JFK's not dead.
He's sitting in a.
His wife was wearing a costume of him. She died. He was actually her, and then they swapped. Yeah.
And then he went to breakfast with
Michael Jackson,
Luther King, and Elvis.
Yeah, in Harambe.
Yes.
But no. So the thing with the camera.
We're gonna get judged so bad. For
I don't care. Judge me. What? If your hair's blue,
I'm talking about God judging us for making a joke about
Harambe.
No,
about JFK's assassination.
Yes, it's sad.
Is it?
It's still too soon.
Is it? I didn't like him. I mean, he's handsome, but like I'm not gay, so I don't really care.
Wasn't there at the time, so I couldn't tell you either way.
Well, okay. He's like a generic Democrat. Okay, why am I gonna like a generic Democrat? I don't even like Republicans.
The thing about it is he was one of the better Democrats.
Oh, okay.
That they had.
The only good Democrat of all time was Andrew Jackson.
I thought you were about to say the only good Democrat was a dead one, and that would be very.
I don't believe in harming my political adversaries. How dare you? I believe in peace. Okay, I also believe the Fourth Crusade was good. No, but like, okay, so I had a point.
Anyway.
I lost it. No, so yeah, so the camera thing. Mm-hmm. So they would have had to have made like houses or like models and then blown them up separately. And then release that footage at a later date.
Well, and you already know that even back then, at least the visual effects of movies
they're practical.
They're practical effects, and it honestly kind of looks the same as a practical effect. The way that the explosion was set up, the way that the explosion happened, and the fact that the camera wasn't destroyed, or at least the film wasn't destroyed. Even if the camera gets destroyed, I mean. A nuke is hot enough to literally melt people to a wall. It's going to do something to the footage, and there's evidence that the footage was untouched. Yeah, and so the theory is that it is basically a practical effect of a small structure that they made, like a scale structure, and then blew it up, and same thing like a movie effect is.
Yeah. Well, I actually do believe the moon landing is real. All the debunking I've seen of the conspiracy theories has been fairly convincing, but I haven't seen any good answers to this one. And so that was just a lighthearted one of like, hey, the government totally lied about these explosion test footage.
The government would never lie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But then it makes you think, how many other things at that time, like around the 40s and the 50s, were faked by practical effects and footage that the government released, other than the moon landing?
Yeah.
How many other groundbreaking things were released during that time?
A lot happened in the 40s and 50s, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to know. Like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird time where you're kind of going into the modern era, post-industrialization.
Right.
And
well, maybe the footage is real and the cameras came from the aliens.
Oh, I didn't even think
Well, no,
because
see, the aliens didn't come till like the 50s.
Yeah. Also, they don't like cameras.
Yeah, they didn't initially land until like 52.
Well, that's what you think.
Well, that's what the government's told us. Yes.
That trustworthy source.
Yes, you have to trust the government.
.gov means I can trust the website. Dude, that was the dumbest thing teachers ever said.
Yes.
They were like, if it says .com, you can't trust it. But if it says .gov or .org, it's like, wait a minute. Anyone can buy a .org domain and just lie.
Right.
Yeah, I can do that.
I mean,
I've done that.
In the way that the way that technology is, and the way that our internet and stuff is. I mean, look at Wikipedia. Wikipedia is literally, you can go on anybody's page and edit whatever you want it to say, and people will just read that and believe it to no end. I mean, it's just like it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a hot take, but and we'll say this and then we'll move on to another one of what is truth anymore. And
that which comports with reality.
But the problem is what is reality anymore? We hear the quote unquote truth, but how do we know what the truth is? Because one way or another, and I know this is kind of cynical, but one way or another, you have to trust somebody is telling you the truth.
Yeah, just doubt the opinion that is newer. I mean, like, especially with radical ideas, you would just doubt the thing with less grounding, right? So, like, with gender theory, it's like, yeah, all science was wrong.
Well, yeah,
like,
that's kind of a given there.
Yeah, but those are kind of the ideas that are making people question reality. Is it's these things that are absurd. So the things that are newer and don't have grounding in history are easier to dismiss.
And this kind of leads into one of the next.
Okay, let's get into
one of the next things that it's not on my list, but it's something that I had been thinking about here. And David brought it up a couple times on a couple of other shows. Is the government? We trust. Some of us trust that the government is doing the right job, is doing what's best for us.
That's wrong.
It's wrong, but some people believe that.
How dare you, David?
Yeah, some people believe that the government's doing what's best for us. And no, this is not just a full political. Actually, you know what? It is going to be a full political episode.
It pretty much
is already.
Yeah. We're going to do conspiracy theories about Disney? No, we're going to do conspiracy theories about the government.
That would be fun.
We already did. We can
do another one
thing.
We can do an actual conspiracy. A Disney conspiracy.
Disney is owned by Satan.
Point.
Next,
we're gonna have to do some research on that one.
Yeah.
Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty is owned by Satan.
Have you not heard that one?
No.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Side note, and then we'll jump into what I was talking
about.
Hello
Kitty and then government corruption.
Yes. Yeah. So Hello Kitty, supposedly, there was a young girl. I cannot pronounce her name. She was, Japanese.
Hello Kitty.
I'm sorry, but I cannot pronounce her name.
Sorry.
She was very, very sick. Like she was at the point of death. She had like stage 4 leukemia, and she was young. Sorry. Yes, because that's the funny part of it.
I'm sorry. Give me a second. Okay, you were saying about leukemia.
Anyway, she had stage 4 leukemia. And she wanted to live longer because she was a very young girl.
Sure.
And supposedly she prayed and God didn't answer her prayers, but Satan came to her and said that he would give her longer life if she sold her soul. She said no, because she didn't want to sell her soul to Satan. She actually wanted to be good, go to heaven, whatever the Japanese believe happens, however that works.
Just so you know, Jonathan, Japanese people can be Christian.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking like, I don't know how their tradition is.
No, I know. I'm teasing you.
There's the whole praying for people to ascend.
They have ancestor worship. Yeah.
So she didn't want to sell her soul to Satan. So Satan made an agreement with her that if she created something that would draw more people to him, then he would give her longer life. And that's where she came up with the Hello Kitty, because it is supposedly a satanic symbol for longevity. And the more people that follow Hello Kitty, the more people that are obsessed with it, the closer they become to satanic worship. and the longer life that she was getting at the time, which apparently I think she.
So did she admit to this?
She wrote something out, that this is the agreement that was made or whatever. I think right before she died. Again, it's being tested at this moment if it's authentic, like if it was actually her that did it, or if it was like somebody just wrote something and said, because they said the same thing about Pokemon. That Pokemon was...
Yeah, but the creator of Pokemon didn't sit down and say, I worship the devil.
No, but they, a lot of people take that and they say like Pokemon is Satan worship. Yeah, it's Satan worship, and that this man was a Satan worshiper and blah 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 because somebody got online and wrote this out, and that's where I was talking about is like these things are being told about people, and it could be true, it couldn't be true. Mm-hmm. We don't know.
That's crazy.
And so
I think you still don't get into heaven. Like you won't sell your soul directly to the devil, but you're going to create something that's going to corrupt countless other souls. I think God frowns on that one.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure he's a little against it.
Aggressively so. I think also so like even from a Protestant perspective, mm-hmm. There's still a sense in which to continue in certain unrepentant sin, and then apart from faith, you're not just gonna say the magic words and get into heaven, mm-hmm. right? It's like no, you have to have a genuine faith, and so even though Protestants don't believe we're justified by our works, they believe that works evidence proper faith,
right?
Just generally speaking,
right?
And so. If the fruit of your faith is converting thousands of people to Satan, I don't know about. I don't have all the answers, but maybe your faith is a bull. I don't know.
It very well could be. So, and again, my whole point of this, and it actually brings it right into it, is what we were just talking about. Of people make up what they want you to believe. The internet is based off of other people's opinions, and we have to accept that almost, as either truth or false. And it leads into one of the books that we've talked about multiple times, 1984, George Orwell, where the whole point of that book was them taking other works of literature or other, statements, words, and just completely removing them from society because they don't
dumbing them down.
Or dumbing them down because they don't want you to know them.
That's why their language is such a dumb, simpleton version of English that with words like double plus on good.
Right. And, it's like it makes you think about it because there are so many books nowadays that, just within the past few years that have either been banned by, in school districts, or libraries have taken them off the shelves, bookstores have taken them off the shelves, or completely just reworded because of something that somebody didn't agree with. And so now we're going to basically make it not make sense anymore.
Yeah, it's also important to point out that while they are removing books like 1984 from schools, they are inserting books targeted specifically at very young children that talk in excruciating detail and with inappropriate imagery, homosexual relations. Right. And so at the same time where you are removing books that are talking about American principles, right, about freedom of speech, they're taking that out, but they're inserting, they're not just leaving it empty, but they're inserting vulgar, inappropriate works.
Right.
So it's like you either have to draw the line somewhere, and they're trying to change where the lines are drawn as to what is acceptable to be reading to our children. And this is one of the main reasons why people don't trust public schools right now. What is it like? I saw some statistic. It was like 200 some private Christian schools have appeared in the last 4 years. Like they've exploded. They've been making new ones, and the old ones have increased in number because people don't trust public schools to not teach their kids sexualized content or to teach them what they themselves learned in school.
Right.
So yeah, I think you're right.
And it's like and it's something that I've always I've always disagreed with it, and I will always disagree with it, is when you take something that has withstood the test of time. For example, they are trying to rework the Mark Twain's books, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, because Tom Sawyer refers to Injun Joe instead of like Indian or Native American. It's Injun because back in that time, that's how they talked.
Also, he's uneducated, which is the whole point.
Right.
Like he's not good at talking. He's got a twang to him.
Right.
That's the point of his character.
The book Huckleberry Finn, they are actually banning it from school because it has the word Negro in it. Of course, for a literary basis on it. It has certain words that today's society is like, oh, we can't say that. And so instead of just making it, even the beginning of the book talks about, okay, this is just a work of fiction. This is set up in a certain certain society, a certain era where education was low at that point. Mm-hmm. So all of the way that this is worded is to appeal to the people of that generation. It has gone unnoticed for so long up until here recently. One person reads it and was like, oh, I'm offended by that. And so they decided they're just going to start taking it out of the schools, and they're going to start rewording it to where now it doesn't say these words. And there have been certain books where they have literally just cut giant sections out of the book, and it makes the story non-consistent anymore because of the stuff that they've taken out because somebody was offended.
Yeah, if you do that with those stories, like To Kill a Mockingbird would be an example, which is also one of the ones they've been removing. That is another one. Yeah. When you do that, it destroys the message. Yep. What's the message of To Kill a Mockingbird? The message is, regardless of your race, mm-hmm. you deserve a fair trial.
Right.
That's the point. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter how you look, what religion you are. In America, we believe in a fair trial.
And it's actually a book that you would think people would encourage to be read because it talks about equality in the justice system.
But they don't actually want equality.
And that goes back to your original point. So when you remove...
So they don't want to teach kids about equality.
Yeah, well, when you remove those books with those offensive terms, and then the teacher, like everyone remembers the teacher saying, I'm going to say this because it's in the book, and here's why it's in the book. Mm-hmm. Well, the reason that sticks out to us is because it's shocking. It's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be okay with people using that language. Right. But if you just remove it, then when people forget that those things are offensive because they don't ever hear them, then when they come up again, they're more likely to be accepted. Yeah. So what you're actually doing by removing the thing altogether, you're removing the offense, the genuine offense. And once you do that, you leave the door open to the same mistakes to happen in society again.
Mm-hmm. So I have to cut in here because let's not pretend that this train has not been rolling for decades, and it may or may not have been started by Christian women in the 60s and 70s.
What do you mean by that?
More or less canceling books, particularly literature, book burnings, because there happens to be something offensive in this book. Mm-hmm. It mentions sex.
Oh,
doesn't graphically depict it, but just mentions it. Yeah. Oh, well, we don't want this book being in our schools anymore, or we're going to burn this book.
So my view on my view is a little different than so there you have to balance it to where there are certain books that you should have and shouldn't have. I am not of the opinion that every book is worth reading or worth having legal. That is not my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I think you should have enough there to where people can see the vulgarity of certain ideas without experiencing all the inappropriate aspects of them, mm-hmm. right? So Christian women in the 60s and 70s caused a lot of issues. I mean, there was the whole satanic panic and all that. There was a lot of issues with Christian women in the 60s and 70s, mm-hmm. And I think we're still recovering from that.
Things like that are still going on because Christians now tend to, and like I'm talking over the top, like lunatic Christians that like we were just talking about people on the left are actually crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the same kind of people, but on the right.
Yeah, but
they will attack anything that is popular, anything at all that is getting our youth's attention. Oh, that's corrupting the youth. Some of it might be, but not all of it.
Well, I think it's important to understand the Christian radicals of the 80s are not the Christian radicals of today. So the Christian radicals of the 80s were like more or less fundamentalist Baptists who thought that that the biggest issue facing the modern church was modern contemporary worship. Mm-hmm. Now, I agree modern contemporary worship is horrible, but I believe that for a different reason than a fundamentalist would. But like the real far traditionalist Christians nowadays are just like Catholic families that want to be left alone. Like that's radical Christianity now. Because like the common Christian nowadays like doesn't really believe the Bible is fully the Word of God. Goes to a church where it's more of a rock concert and emotional experience than it is like the explosion of non-denominationalism taking over the majority of Christianity since the 60s and 70s is in some ways worse. And so the Christian radicals of today, though there are definitely those what you're describing still, the people, I think Christian people generally are becoming more principled on these issues because we're having to respond now to an actual threat. In the 60s and 70s, there wasn't really an actual threat to respond to, but now there is, as far as the left is concerned.
It's almost reverting back to the way that it used to be. Like a lot of what people call like the radicals or, things like that are the ones that are actually coming back from this contemporary society and are basically now like, okay, I want to get back to where I should be as far as my personal walk with God. Back in the 80s and 90s, and I will say that I'm one of them because I am a fundamental Baptist.
But not to the same extent he's charactering, though.
No, but see, the thing about it is like, okay, and this is where we will have different opinions on it. And it goes back again into something that we were talking about as in 1984, being a foreshadowing. George Orwell did not intend for his book to be a propaganda. He didn't intend for it to be a roadmap to society.
No, he was trying to warn us.
Yeah, he said, watch out. If you keep going the way you're going, this is going to happen.
He goes, this has the potential of happening. And take it into the Christian aspect of, what the radical 60s, 70s, 80s, the 90s, talking about how, it's like the contemporary worship is going to be the downfall of the Christian church. It has become, it wasn't a, like a rebellion or a revolt towards the way that churches are or anything, but it was a foreshadowing of if we don't watch ourselves, this is what's going to end up happening.
Well, and it did.
Because you had all these fundamental churches, whether it was Catholic, whether it was Pentecost, whether it was Baptist, you had all these fundamental people that stood firm on the Word of God and saying that, okay, the contemporary worship is going to end up causing people to what is it? 2 Timothy says having itching ears. It's like basically they want to hear what they want to hear.
Well, right.
And nowadays you can't go to a church, and a lot of times churches don't even give like the actual gospel message. They just it's almost like a feel-good message. There's no call to repentance. There's no call to salvation. There's just God loves you and he wants what's best for you. And if you trust in him and give us $1,000 a week, God's going to bless you, greatly. And that tends to be what everything that's going on now.
Where do I sign up? I got $1,000. If that's all it takes.
David, sarcasm. Don't do it.
I'll give you my Cash App, and that's where we'll start.
Yeah, you send it to me. I'll make sure the church gets it.
Yes.
Don't even worry about it. No, but I think what David's pointing out is true.
Or like the people that thought Star Wars was the devil. Like we all love Star Wars and we can still worship God.
Sure, but that's
without being corrupted by it.
And so that's just bad. That's just bad theology, right?
Yeah,
that's trying to find the devil where the devil clearly isn't, instead of like, it's like, oh, we got to combat Satan. Okay, stop watching porn and be nicer to your husband.
Yeah.
No.
That's how you combat the devil. Yeah. Don't worry about Star Wars. Harry Potter is not the biggest threat to your Christian household. You know what is? Porn.
Yeah.
But Harry Potter is a good scapegoat.
Yeah, it is.
So you can turn your attention away from what the actual problems are.
Right. So you can attack it. And I think, and now here, and I'm going to keep this very brief. Mm-hmm. I'm not the biggest fan of the Barbie movie.
I
haven't seen it yet.
Honestly, I'm not going to.
I'm not the biggest fan of what it represents and what it teaches for young girls and young boys.
Right.
But everyone attacking it right now is missing the big picture. What's the big picture? They already control your schools.
Yeah.
They're giving sexualized content to your children. They are coming after your children much more obviously in many different ways. And you're worried about a kid's toy movie that was just made to make money and has a couple of woke things, because every movie does now.
It's a distraction.
Yeah. So
is all that is.
Yeah. So it's like
And then why are the top political commenters on our side going after it then, instead of ignoring
because
it's a stupid movie, don't watch it, but now let's talk about this real
because they're
issue.
Also a distraction.
Yeah,
and they're trying to make
their
money.
own thing to make they have their own thing to distract you from.
Yeah.
The government, is blatantly, like you said, it's obvious, especially within the past couple of years. It's obvious what they're trying to do. I mean, they have not held back, as far as like the woke agenda, the LGBT alphabet, agenda that they have. You've got streets filled with people doing a parade saying we're coming for your kids,
while they parade around naked children because
right,
they're degenerates.
Right. And it's like it's blatantly out there, but too many people are starting to open their eyes, and so what do? We throw a distraction out there.
The
Barbie movie. Aliens being real now. Now we have, Area 51 is, releasing all of their stuff saying that aliens really do exist and they've been around for years and we'll never know. And I have my own big theory about this one that we might get into, if not this episode,
we'll
another
have to
episode.
do it another episode.
Yeah. The whole alien thing, I think, it's going to be a bigger cover up for what is coming ahead. Just keep that in mind. But there's the distractions that are out there, and it leads into one of my other ones. Is they, in order to distract people, what is the best thing that they can do? Give you what you want.
Oh yeah.
They give you what you want because as long as you're happy, you're not going to pay attention to what they're doing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the getting everything you want without work, that's like why I think men are killing themselves at the rate they are. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this before. It's with porn, but also with video games, with other things. Everything is instant dopamine gratification. So you're releasing dopamine all the time, and then it makes your day-to-day life boring, and it makes you hate it. Mm-hmm. And then you're not really having genuine human connection, so you're not releasing serotonin, which is what actually makes you happy. And so you get kind of this fake faux happiness. Oh, I get everything I want, and blah, blah, blah. But it's like you don't really.
I don't think anyone wanted the Barbie movie. It just kind of happened.
Well, yeah, but they knew they could make money on it.
Somebody wanted it. Yeah, somebody wanted it.
I mean, look, there were aspects of the movie that I thought were great. Margot Robbie is very pretty. It was a great part of the movie. But that's not worth the money to go see. What are you doing?
I've been watching that for the past
Well, I was ignoring
15,
it until
minutes.
It captivated you, and then I was captivated. See, we're all drones, guys.
Yes.
This is how it works.
It's the distraction.
Yeah, we all. But that's the thing is the government's like, oh, well, just like they want you sedated and weak and docile.
Yep.
And
that's like one of my next theory that we'll talk about just really quick. Try to talk about it really quick.
Yeah.
Because
we are going to have to go into a part 2 on this.
Yes, we definitely will. I believe, and this may be my own theory. Mm-hmm. I believe that the decriminalization of weed is okay. It's basically threefold, but I believe that it was a distraction for the government to be able to do whatever they wanted to do.
Okay.
Because, like you said, how do they believe that the more that people are docile, the more the people are just self-gratified or instantly gratified, that the easier things can be done. It's like
especially if they're literally going to sedate themselves,
right? And I think that the first part of the threefold of it is they appeal to the younger generation.
Sure. Yeah.
Obviously, the left was the one that really kind of pushed for the decriminalization of weed. Now, I say decriminalization because it's not legal. It's not legalization. It's decriminalized, meaning that you can still get in trouble for doing it if you don't do it under the right circumstances. Legal is you walk around everywhere just letting it puff. A lot of people do that anyway. But it was to appeal to the younger votes because the left knew that if they could get the younger votes to vote for them, even if it's just something small as decriminalization of weed, that they have them in their back pocket. They can literally do whatever and say whatever they want to with these people. The second part of it is that the government actually saw the profit in it.
Sure.
Just like with alcohol.
We kind of made mention of it. Honestly, I can't remember if it was during the episode or before.
I think that was before we started recording
the episode. During the Prohibition, alcohol sales were out there. I mean, they were weren't that great before the Prohibition, and so but it was what was happening to society. And so they criminalized the sale of alcohol. You weren't allowed to purchase it. You weren't even allowed to market it. And so what happened? Then you started having all of these speakeasies. You started having rum runners. All of these people that were making like the moonshine and stuff like that, and selling it. And the government finally saw that, okay, first of all, it's not going to stop. We tried to stop it and it just got worse. Also, they're making a buttload of money by doing this.
Yeah.
So let's make it available now. And so they did. Alcohol got an FDA rating, which means that finally the federal government has something on it, and now they can charge taxes and they could tax it. Same thing with weed. They started seeing that, okay, it's not going to stop. So we're going to slap a sticker on it saying that it's FDA approved, and just for the record, you can buy a bag of weed at a store that is FDA approved. The Twinkie has yet to get an FDA rating. The Twinkie.
I don't eat Twinkies, so.
No, I don't either.
Are you telling me, John, that it's better for me to smoke pot than eat a Twinkie?
Obviously, according to the government,
I actually would argue yes. In most,
that's not necessarily wrong. I mean,
well, yeah, but I'm saying like the Twinkie that's been around
Twinkies
for
might kill
years,
but the Twinkies might kill you faster.
Yes, she'll be happy.
No, because after like you get like Twinkie and a half in, then the depression hits.
Yeah, she just realized you ate a Twinkie.
I think they literally like stuff like downer pills into Twinkies. Like all of the other Hostess makes me happy.
I can't honestly. I can't tell you the last time that I've had a Twinkie. But
I want a Twinkie.
It's they saw the profit in it, and so they just went for it. And so again, they can charge whatever they want. They can they can tax however they want, and stuff like that. And then it's interesting because then you look at it, it's like, okay, they've got a part in the marketing, they've got a part in the distribution of it. They've also got a part in the criminalization of it too, because if they catch you driving around under the influence of marijuana, it's the same thing as drunk driving. And so what happens there? You get tickets, you get fines. The government makes money off of you no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
I mean, that's not that stupid because they're banking on the stupidity of people, which is that is always a smart move.
Yeah. Right.
If you can bet money on somebody doing something stupid, you're going to make money with that bet.
Right. And that kind of leads into the third one. The third part of this one is that I honestly believe, and this may be my own opinion, but I honestly believe that they decriminalized it more to control the people rather than help them. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that there are arguments about like the medical use of marijuana and the medical benefits and things like that. And I'm not prolific in that, and so I'm not gonna say that it's wrong, that it's right, whatever, because I've seen both sides of it, I've heard both sides of it, but I don't know enough about it to really say anything. My thing of it is that they literally gave you something that will sedate you into doing anything the government asks of you to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but wouldn't alcohol kind of do that already?
Yeah,
well, but that's the thing.
So if you want to beat the government, smoke cigarettes, because cigarettes make you focused and they increase your heart rate and they make you want to work and study. So if you want to beat the government, stop smoking weed and start smoking cigarettes.
And then if you don't get a cigarette, then you'll do
anything to get a cigarette, and then you'll work harder to get your cigarettes.
But the thing with marijuana is like with a lot of people with marijuana is like they'll say, well, if you don't do this, we're going to take away your right to smoke. Oh, here's our guns. Here's our gas stoves. Here's our cars that aren't electric. They'll literally just I know I threw the
I'm going to say that's disconnected from the legalization of marijuana.
But to drive my point home is that people will literally do whatever it takes to get that little bit of a high.
Sure.
Whether it's smoking marijuana, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's alcohol, you can name it. I mean, even media, it's like we panic because, writers are going on strike and there aren't any movies that are coming out. Mm-hmm. And so what's going to happen? We're not going to be able to function as a society because we can't watch a good movie now.
Got YouTube.
And
people
fine. Don't care about that, though.
I watch way more YouTube than I do movies.
So if I can chime in on this. So I'm not necessarily advocating for marijuana, but I want to bring up something since you brought up prohibition. Mm-hmm. Prohibition is proof positive that people will, and this is human nature, people will want what they can't have.
Right.
And when they can have it, they will probably want it less.
That's true.
So I'm not necessarily saying that's what's going on, but I think the argument could be made for the legalization in that vein that, like, if it's not as difficult to obtain and it's not as much of a forbidden thing, then people are going to take it for granted and like, oh, I can just get this whenever I want to, and they'll crave it less.
But the problem, sorry.
No, so what I was going to say is more than wanting it less, the way they go about getting it is safer.
Okay.
So I can go to a dispensary. The dispensary has an armed security guard and is watched by the police. And I go in there, and there's a nice, pretty girl behind the counter, and she says, "Here's your weed." Otherwise, I have to go to a dark alley, some guy I don't know that my friend told me about, and he might stab me and take my money.
Okay, but the thing that I object as far as that side of it is, and you did kind of say it yourself, is people want what they can't have.
Yeah.
Okay, suddenly they have they have the ability to gain marijuana. Mm-hmm. Now they want something more.
Sure.
They want, it was right after they decriminalized marijuana. People in Oregon and Colorado suddenly wanted to decriminalize mushrooms.
Yep, which is really important.
And and it was just like that's the next step. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, well, if they did that, well, then what's the next one? Meth. Then they want to, it's like it's when they say it's the gateway drug. It kind of takes a twofold here of, yes, like, yeah, people want marijuana. At some point, they will try to go to something different because they want more of a high. But it's also, you can take it in the society of they've got this, now they want this.
So I want to bring up the medical aspect real quick. So when it comes to the medical benefit of marijuana, It is often falsely caricatured by people who are in support of marijuana. They will say, "Oh, bro, it's like good for your cancer." No, like if you're in a lot of pain because of chemo, smoking pot will help relieve pain, and it's not as addictive as OxyContin, right? There's the benefit for that. But before marijuana was legalized, the research that they were allowed, you had to be very cautious with the research you did, not just for marijuana, but for related plants were also made illegal, and research was limited. So, for example, one of the main health benefits of marijuana is anxiety. It can help with anxiety. Well, so what did they do? Well, since it was legalized, they're able to extract the CBD, and sell it as its own thing. So you don't want the marijuana, you can get the CBD and get the relaxing effect of it. And before it was legalized, you couldn't have that. The benefit of CBD, the reason that's really great, there's people who have epilepsy can have their epilepsy response be linked to their anxiety. And there are certain drugs they might not be able to take, so they take CBD. So an example of this is a personal evidence, is my mother. So my mother is severely epileptic, right? And when she gets anxious, she has seizures. So she got CBD. She's been on multiple medications, been to multiple doctors, and nothing has worked to stop her seizures. Every time she gets anxious, she takes a little CBD, she's fine. She doesn't smoke it, she eats a gummy bear, right? And that would have been, if the government didn't legalize it, that would have continued to be illegal. And her brain condition would have gotten severely worse from repeated seizures. So that's just one example. But also,
honestly, that kind of leads into a whole other conspiracy theory about Big Pharma, but I think that's for part 2. We don't have the time.
Yeah, we don't have time for Big Pharma. One. But even more than that, so you brought up mushrooms, right? So what are the medical benefits of mushrooms? Well, we know they're psychoactive, but through research, we may be able to reduce the psychoactivity of them and work on focusing on better just the benefits of mushrooms. Well, what are the benefits of mushrooms? Well, people who take psilocybin mushrooms who are paralyzed get feeling back in their legs. Now, they have a bad trip before they do that. So here's the thing. Lessen the trip. Like, it's a wild ride, but you get your legs back.
They had a bad trip, which is why they can't use
their
legs.
Yeah, that's why they can't walk. But okay, but then the drugs you brought up, cocaine, crack, heroin.
Meth.
Well, meth? What's the problem with those? We already know there is no, heroin was used for medical purposes. It didn't work. They stopped using it. And now we're having that with the, what's it called? The opioid crisis, right? So now they're developing new opioids to curb some of those issues. And so what we need better research. That's what we need. And the drugs like cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, these things don't actually help. But marijuana and mushrooms, as we continue to research them, they might. Now, I'm not even saying mushrooms should be legalized, but I am saying that scientists should be given license to study some of these things so that they can help people.
And I can agree with, I can see your point of it. And again, like I said, as far as like my own personal study of like the medical benefits or anything like that, I don't know, because I'm not, sure. I've never actually taken the time to really look them up. Or anything like that.
Just get high and find out.
And I'm not, it's like, I'm not going to be the type of person to be like, oh, you smoke marijuana, your mom takes a gummy bear. That's horrible.
Well, it's not, for the record, my mom doesn't take marijuana.
No, I'm saying
she takes CBD.
Yeah. Like I said, like I just said,
but it's not, it's not even, so it's not THC, so it doesn't get you high at all. There's no, heightened effect of it. It literally they isolated the chemical that reduces anxiety. So you could do that with a mushroom. You could literally take a pill that just helps your legs function better, or like helps with mind-muscle connection, but won't get you high. You can do that if we were able to research it.
Right. And and I can see that point. I guess my side of it is just, this is what the people wanted.
Sure.
And now that they got it, they're
not satisfied.
Yeah, we want more.
That is also human nature.
There's bad aspects to it, but yeah, I agree. I agree that the government's using it to control people. I just think accidentally to that, there's some good.
And
I don't think it was intended.
The thing is, the good that comes out of it will sooner or later be squashed or whatever because they still want to control you, and if they're losing that control because of the extracts or the isolated chemicals that they found, they'll find a way to make those illegal, but keep the dispensaries around.
I mean, what I think is going to happen is I think once they develop the psilocybin mushroom stuff, I think they're just going to shoot the prices up on it like they did insulin. That's what I think they're going to do.
Or that.
Yeah.
So they probably will.
So yeah,
and
like
again, that's another.
There's a bad aspect to it, but I just wanted to I'm not defending the government, but I'm saying, due to them doing this generally bad thing, some good came of it. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's always, the thing about it though is you can always find a good side if you look hard enough.
I just thought we had a depressing episode. Might as well have something good. The government's here to kill you, but you have weed, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So if you partake in marijuana, then listen to this episode.
Could you imagine listening to this podcast high? That'd be wild.
That would be. I can hardly imagine listening to this thing
sober. Yeah.
The way that we go off on certain things.
With that being said, listen to this podcast whether you're high or sober.
Yes. And then let us know the difference.
Yeah, tell us. Because I'm curious, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, we won't partake in it. We will trust your study to tell us the difference.
I expect notes. I want a full report. And I want to know what moments made you do what. Like, I want a timeline.
I guarantee you, we could probably make this show into a drinking game. Every time we mention anything about Star Wars, somebody takes a shot.
I just get blasted before we record, and then it's a drinking game for me.
Jeez.
No, I'm kidding.
Or we relate something back to religion, because that happens a lot.
Religion and Star Wars.
Yeah, basically the same
religion,
thing.
Star Wars, and government. Just it's all.
Well, the government. Well, think about it. They're in the Bible. There's governments.
I thought you were about to say in the Bible there was Jedi, and I'm like, no.
Wait a minute. So hear me out.
Oh gosh.
What if all the apostles were Jedi? No, I'm kidding. They were way cooler than Jedi.
Yeah, they were Sith. They didn't steal the children.
Did you just call the apostles the Sith?
They didn't steal the children. They opened the eyes to
but not
the
stealing
gospel.
Children is not the.
But
the Sith don't bring the gospel, John.
They opened the people's eyes to the truth.
No. You think Darth Sidious is like, believe in Jesus or die? Like, no.
Yes. I think he would be.
Power. Darth Sidious would be a great televangelist. Or the worst, because televangelism is bad. But
yes, televangelism.
But yeah.
Well, is that even a thing anymore?
I think we have an idea for a new YouTube series. Darth Sidious televangelist.
Give your money to the Empire and Jesus.
Oh goodness gracious! Yeah, I just feel. I don't know. There's a lot more stuff that we can really go into, and we are going to have to do a part 2 because there are more that. We could do 10 parts if we really wanted to. We're not going to.
No.
But
yeah, we are. We got to cover every conspiracy theory ever, right?
I don't know if we are going to do the part 2 right away.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of other things that we do want to focus on first before we get to that point. But we will do a part 2 of this one. In the meantime, let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Let us know your favorite conspiracy theories or a conspiracy theory that you want to hear us talk about, and we will do our best not to let you down.
Yes, hit us up on your favorite social media distraction.
Yes. Be distracted.
You're using to escape reality. I can't talk tonight.
Read a book.
No, but then how are they going to get a hold of us to tell us?
Don't watch this. Read a book.
Send us a letter. You can send us a letter.
I want a messenger pigeon to come to where we're recording, or I won't answer your questions. Because, like we said earlier in the podcast, we hate you.
And you're a hypocrite.
Much more than us, because we are less hypocritical.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the episode that got our show canceled because people are going to take that one little spot.
Can't cancel me. I'm immortal.
See, now all I can think of is what's that part of, is it Scooby-Doo 2? Like where they take everything that Fred says and just completely like words it wrong.
They make it gay.
Huh?
Haven't you seen that? The like compilations of like Fred's sayings throughout the years that are like really gay.
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
No, I was talking about
on
the live action / semi-animated version of Scooby-Doo 2. He's this one part and he's like talking to a reporter, and he goes, many people think that Coolville sucks and that we don't like these people. And then it's like during the news press or whatever, it goes into it, and all you hear is Fred going, Coolville sucks. We hate these people. And it's
that's
just like
so funny.
Where's the lie?
That's so
Right.
so funny. I need to rewatch those because I'm sure those were way funnier as adults. Every movie from my childhood, I go back and watch it as an adult. It's way funnier.
Yeah, some of them.
Like, okay, Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
I never watched it.
No.
It was before my time.
Yeah.
Like, way before my time.
No.
I was an adult before when that came out.
But like when you're a kid, you're watching it and you're like, yeah, this is like silly and this guy's kind of a jerk, And then you grow up and you watch it and you're like, this kid is a literal psychopath and his dorky best friend is the hero of the story. But yeah, that's
because Dave and I were just talking about this a couple days ago too. Dave and I have conversations when you're not here because you're never there.
it's not my fault.
It actually kind of is.
I tried to be there. They didn't let me be.
We invited you yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that was my fault. But no, it
Yeah.
wasn't. That was the church's fault.
Stop going to
Yeah.
church.
Way to blame the church there.
Sometimes.
Blasphemous.
To blame the church?
Yeah.
Aren't you a Baptist?
It doesn't mean I'm going to blame the church.
The church isn't God. I can't
No.
blaspheme the church.
But it's where you go to get closer to God.
Yeah, but I can't blaspheme the church. I mean, I can try if we really want to.
I mean,
For all of those listening in just sheer, utter confusion,
There's some Catholic grandma just like, oh my gosh.
Dave and I went to Cracker Barrel yesterday.
not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Yes, it is.
It was amazing food. We invited Noah to go, and then Noah said he couldn't.
I couldn't.
So we just got to make fun of him for it.
Yeah, I'm really mad because I really want hash brown casserole.
I mean,
Not a sponsor.
We can go.
Hash brown casserole isn't copyrighted.
No, but we're basically advertising for them.
No, literally, like, go to Cracker Barrel, do yourself a favor. Like, they're not paying us to say that, but go
Right.
do it.
Right. I mean, it's much better than the alternative of like Chili's.
Or Golden.
Cracker Barrel, if you get 7 more customers, you owe us money.
Yeah, no, I expect a paycheck.
There's a royalty. We want 10% of that. those
Wait,
7
what if
people.
what if we sue them for not paying us for an advertisement they didn't ask for?
Fairly sure we would just get laughed out of court.
No, but like, it'd be good publicity for the podcast.
It would be. I mean, that's how a lot of like new age rappers and everything, in order to get their name out there, what do? They diss Eminem. And then Eminem just completely destroys them, and then people will listen to his music and be like, who are these people? And then they'll start listening to the...
They're like, oh, he's pretty good.
Yeah, they'll start listening to the people that he just
you're
dissed.
saying we need to diss Eminem.
Yeah, Eminem, you suck.
Gosh.
You suck.
And now people are going to start listening to our podcast.
Your fourth album, Relapse, was not as good as your previous 3. and it was bad.
Now we're just going to get a diss track.
It was a bad album. Man, how do you think Eminem would diss this podcast?
Laugh.
He'd be like, ha ha.
Losers.
Loser. Just like playground insults.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Your mom goes to college.
Your mom.
Eminem.
I love Napoleon Dynamite.
This goes out to Eminem. Vanilla Ice is a better rapper than you.
Oh, that hurt me. That was like we're trying to hurt him and you're hurting us. That's not cool.
Oh man!
All right, are we done here?
Yeah, I think we're done. All right, thank you guys for listening to us. Again, let us know what you think. If you hear this, let us know on social media. Again, check out our TikTok, our Facebook, our Instagram. That is literally all we have at the moment. Twitter is no more. For those that had,
it's not even Twitter anymore.
Yeah, it's not even Twitter anymore.
We deleted. We deactivated our account.
Yeah,
it was just pointless.
We tried with Twitter, and the thing with it is, we would post something on Twitter, and by the time it got posted, it just got lost in the shuffle. I mean, it was so hard to even for us as the the moderators for the page to even find our own content on our own page because it just got lost in everything that was going on. So Twitter is we're not using Twitter anymore.
You mean X?
Is that what it's called now?
Yeah, it's called X.
Yeah, so
I'm calling it Twitter.
Yeah, I just have no idea.
It's the X Twitter.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be just a dead bird?
That would be an awesome logo.
Dead bird.
Dead. Just like they just take the Twitter logo and they flip it upside down.
A bird stuck to the wall with an arrow.
Yep.
Yes, we are dark. Anyway, check us out anytime you want to, guys. Thank you guys for listening. I'm John.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Noah.
Have a great night.